Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network for Entrepreneurs. I'm Dan Hanford, and my wife, Danae, and I interview successful people sharing stories behind tough decisions that they've had to make along their journey as an entrepreneur. On the podcast with us today is Brie Schmidt, and she has been in real estate for 7 years, and I would consider her a real estate entrepreneur for sure. She has several different businesses as it relates to real estate. So I want to welcome to the podcast with us, Brie Schmidt. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Brie. Thanks for being here. I want you to talk to us a little bit to get started about what your current focus is right now as an entrepreneur.
I have a couple of different businesses which dictate different, sets of my time at different times of the year. So I started by building a portfolio of rental properties. I have over 30 properties and 90 units. And for the first couple of years, that was my primary focus. Through that, though, I started helping other investors acquire properties and started my own brokerage business. So that has been my primary focus for about the last 2 years. And then I also work and am involved with different real estate investing educations, whether it be we do monthly networking events and we do one of the largest annual conferences here in Chicago in the Midwest. So it just depends on the time of year, really. My brokerage business kind of slows down in winter because no one wants to buy houses in Chicago when you've got 2 feet of snow, which gives then that's about 6 months before the Midwest Real Estate Networking Summit. So that gives me the downtime in the one business to focus on setting up the conference, which is every year in the summer.
So I want to talk a little bit about two different types of tough decisions. One's a good one, one's not so good outcome. Really, the outcome is what we're looking for. So let's first start off with one tough decision that you've had to make as an entrepreneur already in your career, if you will, as an entrepreneur, if we can call it that, and that didn't have that good of an outcome. Like it was one that you kind of I like to call it the sore thumb tough decision, if you will. It kind of sticks out really far, and you learn lots of lessons through that. So can you walk us through that tough decision that you've had as an entrepreneur that just didn't go so well?
I'm a really big gut feeling person. So I make most of my decisions based on how I feel. One of the most recent bad decisions I made was to split my portfolio of rental properties to 2 different property managers. I felt the one had gotten maybe a little bit overwhelmed and we needed to diversify. And so we went with another property manager who was absolutely awful. I'd met with them over a 3-year period. I had talked with their current clients for a few years. I felt really good about the decision when I made it, and it completely blew up in my face. The level of incompetence was really mind-blowing. So I just had to fire them after less than 6 months of working with them.
So you had been working with a prior property manager that just was getting too overwhelmed with what you were giving to them. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I took away half of the business from them so that they could, get some free space to really work on optimizing at that point. And it was a bad decision at the end of the day.
Okay, so when you hired this new company, did you interview several other companies and then you decide on this one from kind of having that, like you said, that intuition or that gut feeling, if you will, on they're the right fit? Or did you have another type of process for vetting them?
I've been in that market. So in the market of, residential real estate, when you have property managers, you're constantly aware of who's out there and what they do. So over the years, I probably interviewed 10 different management companies. This one I'd interviewed 3 years prior. There was nothing about them that I loved, but there was nothing about them that I hated. So when it came time to make a switch, they were my first call, re-interviewed them again, and felt comfortable because they said all the right things.
So what would you say looking back was there some sort of like writing on the wall or something that you saw ahead of time that maybe could have, sparked that beforehand? Or was it really just one of those things you just had to get in and experience and realize it really wasn't a good fit?
It was one of those things you really had to get in and experience. They said all the right things. They talked all the right talks, right? And I think that's true with regardless if you're hiring any sort of staff, that kind of stuff happens. Certain people, how they execute versus how they present themselves are 2 different things. And I don't know, I always thought I was a good judge of character. I was quite confident in the decision when I made it. I really had no hesitation on it. And what they were doing as far as executing, as far as their process, was completely different than what they had told me that they could do and could handle as a business.
So Brie, coming out of that, how did you move forward? Did you end up reworking things and going back with the previous one, or did you move ahead with a different company?
I went back with the previous one and then gave them back the other half of the business.
I think the original reason about taking them away is because they were getting overwhelmed and needed to kind of recreate their systems to be able to, increase the capacity of what they were doing. So once you were able to take it away for 6 months and you gave it back to them, did they make some changes that were allowing them to be able to support more, properties?
Oh, yeah. The transition in the beginning, it was quite clear, quite early on that the new company was not doing what they should have been doing. So unfortunately, the old company was actually doing half of their work the entire 6-month period. They had to step in and do a lot of stuff for me, and I had to pay them, separately. So when we went to go look at moving it all back to them, we had a discussion about, hey, listen, these were my concerns 6 months ago, which is why we moved half the business, and what has been done since then to improve it. And they wrote back with a list of action items that they had completed, what they think was the problem, how they're handling it moving forward. And their response was, excellent, to be honest. They were very self-aware and very critical of their own systems. So it made us confident enough to move it back.
So let's shift gears here a little bit and talk about a tough decision that you've had to make that, had a really good outcome and some of the lessons you learned through that one.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, it hasn't been too tough. I think one of my personal struggles is I know what's right and I know what the right thing to do is. It just takes me probably a lot longer than other people to actually put action behind that. So one of the big changes I've made in the last few years is I switched the focus of my businesses. So the rental property portfolio, managing my rentals, building my portfolio was originally my focus in this whole world of real estate investing. And then about 2.5 years ago, I switched focuses into the brokerage side of the business where I work with as an agent to help investors acquire properties. So it was a balancing of, where do I really enjoy my time, right? Where are my skill sets best put to use? And what can I outsource or hire out so that I can alleviate some of the responsibilities from the one and give more time to the other? So it's like back in the day, I would spend 80% of my time on one business and 20, and now I've flipped them. So it was a good decision for me personally, learning to let go of control because I'm totally a type A control freak. So that was a fun little emotional and mental process for me. But B, at the end of the day, now I look back on it, I was doing a lot of work on that one business that really I could have been paying someone half of what I charge per hour to handle, and they can handle it just as good as I could. So that was a good learning experience and a decision that I had to make.
Well, and I know that, offline we had talked about, a tough decision that you're currently in right now. And, a lot of times we don't get to talk about some of the current tough decisions that people are going through. And so I want you to dive in a little bit on the current tough decision that you're dealing with right now in your business.
That would be selling my business. It's been on my mind for about a year and a half at this point. Like I said, when I transitioned about 2.5 years ago, now I have a full-time management staff. They run the day-to-days. I'm only spending 20% of my time actually in that business. But I think like anything as entrepreneurs, especially with real estate, our goals, our needs, our wants, our desires, they shift over the years. So what I thought I wanted 7 years ago is different than what I wanted 3.5 years ago, which is different than I want now. So for me, I'm considering selling my business for a couple of different reasons. A, my heart's not in it really anymore. Again, at this point, it runs sort of on its own. I have staff that run the day-to-day. I just look at reports. But B, within real estate, we have market cycles. So I think that we're in a position, I bought my portfolio and acquired properties at the low end of the cycle. And now we're definitely in the high end of the cycle. So it might be opportunistic for me to liquidate and then refocus my time on something else.
I think that what you're talking about is very important because, sometimes even myself, I've been in different situations where, the focus changes, what you were, working on 5 years ago, 10 years ago, sometimes your things change and your desires change and, where you want to take things change a little bit. Now that's where you kind of get to that point of wanting to sell something off and kind of, move on to that next thing that's on your plate. So I think that's important for people to understand that, as you grow as an entrepreneur. And as things change, don't be afraid to, to pull that trigger to exit what you're currently doing now and start something else and start anew. And, and it sounds to me like you're very similar in regards to, where I sometimes get where, I love working on something, I get going on it, and then I'm successful with it. And I'm like, all right, I need to do something else to be successful with something else at the same time, And so I get multiple things going at the same time. And it sounds very similar to me as to what you're doing too.
Sometimes it's a little frustrating for, the rest of us.
It's like entrepreneur ADD, right?
Absolutely. It's classic.
That's the reality of it. I found I've been doing a lot of self-reflection and awareness, right, over the last few years. And I found that as far as real estate, I love the strategy, the acquisitions, the planning, hey, we're going to do this with this property and then we're going to get it to this valuation. That part is all really fun for me. But the actual day-to-day management of the property, I hate it. I don't like it. That's why I pay someone else to do it. So that's kind of where the agent piece has really become my focus, because I get to work with people on the crack part of it, right? The part that I enjoy, the desire, the need that I have to fill, which is let's strategize, let's find, let's evaluate, right? But then I don't have to actually manage it because I don't buy the property. So it fills my desire and my passion, but it's in a different place within the business.
So Brie, talk to us a little bit about the strategies that you use when you are facing a tough decision. Maybe you're using them right now as you decide, how and when and who to sell your business to, but how exactly do you approach those tough decisions when they present themselves?
So as I said before, I'm a very big gut instinct person, right? I feel that at the end of the day, regardless if the decision was good or bad, if I followed my intuition and I followed my gut and I did what I thought was right, then regardless if it blows up in my face or not, at least I followed my own intuition, right? And it was my decision. So I kind of judge a lot of things by how I sleep at night. If things are keeping me up at night and I'm worried about something, then to me, that's I'm not doing this, right? Whether it's acquiring a property or lending money or that my hands are in a lot of different businesses. If it worries me at night, I'm out. Simple as that. And if I still am having trouble sleeping at night or I like to sleep on the decision, I feel that I always write down what information am I missing, right? To be able to make 100% yes or no on this. So sometimes it takes me a lot more time than other people, where I need to make sure I know all the pieces in the puzzle. And then I just kind of review the whole overview of everything and I sleep on it. And when I sleep on it, it's either a yes or no in my mind the next morning.
All right, we're going to take a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll talk to Brie about her favorites as it relates to business.
Hello, this is J.V. Crum III, host of the Conscious Millionaire podcast, with a special announcement for business owners, entrepreneurs, and coaches. Do you want to grow your business to reach 7 figures or even multiple 7 figures? Well, right now, you may have reached 6 figures, but it's easy to get stuck or just not know which steps to take next. Frankly, that can happen to anyone. That's why this month, my special gift to you is the 7-figure formula. Now, it contains the exact steps I've used to make millions and that you need to build your own 7-figure business. Get it now as my gift to you. Go to consciousmillionaire.com/7-figure formula. Again, go to consciousmillionaire.com/7-figure formula.
All right. And we are back and we're talking with Brie Schmidt, and we're going to be talking about the trifecta, which is a series of questions about her different favorites in business. So first off, Brie, talk to us about your most favorite technology that you use in business every day that helps make your life easier.
Oh, I'm pretty basic, right? I mean, I'm 35 years old and I still use basic Excel, Google Calendar, all of those things are really the forefront of my technology experience. I don't have anything that's, super cool or high tech or trendy to be able to share with you. Everything is, 2005 technology that I still use.
What's a favorite quote that you've heard or read that's helped you in your business?
This is a quote I heard in 1995 when I was about 13 years old. And it has been my base quote for the rest of my life, which is, I do not regret the things I have done, but those I did not do.
That's good. I remember hearing that. I've heard that one before. And sometimes we forget that, though, even with our decision making, because that type of thinking can play a big role in what we choose to do. What's a favorite book that you've read that's helped you as an entrepreneur?
I mean, there's a ton of really great books, right? Good to Great is a really great book. 4-Hour Workweek is a really great book. And My World of Real Estate is usually involved with like The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, The Millionaire Next Door. There's plenty of really good books that help with the mindset of business.
So what's the next thing for you, Brie, on your vision or your dream board right now?
It's quite blank at this point. I really have no idea. So selling the business that I'm thinking of selling would be a huge change for me, because it's a business I built over the last 7 years. And one of the reasons why I haven't sold it previously is I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know where I'm going to parlay that capital. So I try to go with my gut, and I feel that, it will come to me. And after all these years of hard work, it might be nice just to take some chill time.
Well, and I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, if we can sell off, like you said, what you're doing, and that will free you up to have more time to think about what is that next thing. Because sometimes we're just so busy in the day-to-day of what we're doing, it's hard to be able to step away and take that away and start to focus on what's the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it changes over the years, right? At this point, I don't know. I'm just going to be confident in that I will just keep my mind open to possibilities and see where it takes me.
Absolutely. Well, Brie, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to be with us today. How can the listeners reach out to you if they want to, start to follow you or contact you after listening to this episode?
There's a few places, but my brokerage business is secondcity-re.com, as well as the Midwest Real Estate Networking Summit, which is midwestresummit.com. Or Bigger Pockets. I'm always on Bigger Pockets, or LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for taking some time to be with us today. I hope to have you on a future episode as you continue to, sell off what you're doing now and start the next thing, and as you continue to grow as an entrepreneur.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Thank you for listening to the Tough Decisions Network. Be sure to visit toughdecisions.net to gain access to show notes for this episode and to join our free weekly entrepreneur email, where we will send you news about the latest technology for your business, inspiring quotes, and the latest books for entrepreneurs. That's toughdecisions.net.